Okay, let's do it. Let's get going. I'm psyched. I'm pumped. Jimmy?
I'm not. I'm not either of those things. I'm very much not psyched or pumped. I'm not as pumped as Grant Williams was after he did like one good thing
Let's
and
go,
then
Jimmy. Get in there. Get in there.
yeah, he did one good thing and then decided to rub it in Jimmy Butler's face and then proceed to get bullied on national TV. Just when you thought I'm gonna make both was gonna be the most embarrassing thing of Grant Williams' year or career, he goes and he pokes the boogeyman Jimmy Butler, and proceeds to be on the receiving end, if you will, of.
Grant Williams should never be allowed to speak to another starting player on another team ever
Shouldn't
again.
he, it
Okay.
must be, dude. Like what you like. That is why Grant Williams. That is why Missoula doesn't play Grant Williams, because he's probably so freaking sick and tired of the guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
And by the way, I like the fire and I like the like all that stuff. I want to see the energy out there, but you gotta know, like the Omega doesn't pick on the Alpha.
it's
You gotta
fine.
know.
It's fine. We've got
We'll
bigger
get to it.
problems
Well,
here.
I know, but that's just I'm hot on that right now.
I know. I hear you.
I'm
There's
hot on
bigger.
everything. I'm hot on everything.
There's a lot. My mind's all over the place, just like it was with Game One. It's a little bit more settled here. It's again. I'm probably gonna have to slow play some rage because it isn't rage as much as it is like the Celtics look bad. Their players are
It's
playing
it's a
bad.
lot of
Like
things.
Jalen
There's
Brown was objectively horrible in every capacity. Almost every single thing that he did all night long. Marcus Smart was horrible. Al Horford was
horrible,
horrible. They were all horrible.
terrible.
So again, you can sit here and say, I mean, what's the
I don't know
Celtics
what happened to
problem?
Al Horford, man. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. What's the Celtics' problem? The Celtics' problem is they believe in their talent above all else rather than a particular system or anything that they do. And they think just by showing up, having more talent is going to win out ultimately. And a lot of times they're right. Tougher against a well coached team and a disciplined team and a tough team like Miami, as they learned in game one. But they came back in game two and kind of did the same sort of thing, just thinking they would just play and win. And they're just kind of freestyling it and doing whatever. And it just didn't work. That the talent gap that's supposed to be there does not appear evident. It does not appear that the Celtics players are better than the Heat players. It doesn't appear that they're playing better than the Heat players. There's stuff to pick on with Joe, as there always is. People are going to scapegoat him for the
Dang.
entire loss. I don't think so, but I absolutely think he ate shit again tonight.
Yeah.
He did some stuff right, but other stuff is baffling. Playing Grant in the first place, one might say, "Wow, nice job by Joe pulling a
At
rabbit out of the
first,
hat at first." But I don't say that because if Grant was effective now, then what the hell are you doing
right.
not playing him throughout the whole playoffs? It's
The
stupid.
first thing I thought of was like, this isn't a good look for Joe.
Grant being effective is a bad thing for Joe. So
Right.
I mean, again, the Celtics look like rudderless, I guess is the best way. Um, how much is that on the coach? The coach doesn't call every play. It's not like Eric Spoelstra's out there like an offensive coordinator telling them what to do. The Heat just know what to do, how to get into their sets, how to get what they want to get to, when to just let Butler do his own thing and get out of his way, when to ISO Bam, clear out, have him just back Horford in there, how to get shooters free. They just do it. The Celtics don't do it. They're out there on their own. Their spacing is brutal. And they have, I mean, I tweeted this earlier, and it got a lot of love.
Nice. There you
No, it
go.
wasn't my goal. It was just an observation. But the
Should I retweet it for you?
Eric Spolstra was mic'd up, and he said something here,
Oh,
and
that's
it was
right.
so depressing. Which was, guys, just guys, all they can't win unless they hit their threes. So all you got to do is kind of continue on with our perimeter defensive approach here, and just not allow them, not leave their shooters free, and make sure we're defending the line. And they can't beat you. He's saying
Right.
that to their second unit. He's basically saying these guys are so predictable and easy to defend that if you do this one thing I'm telling you to do, you can't possibly lose to them. And that's just crazy to me. And he's right. And he was right.
That's the depressing part.
Depressing.
It's it's
They're
obvious,
easy.
right?
They're easy to
Yeah.
play against.
But we've said it all year. Like when they hit their shots, they win. When they don't, they lose. Like they don't create those shots. They don't play the physical interior basketball tonight. What was it like? 5 minutes left in the game, John. We were all texting, and I was like, it just feels like the Heat
Did any? Yeah,
aren't
you're
gonna
right.
like miss a shot, or like they're either gonna go to the line or score. And you're right. They just have they have a better. How do you say, like, they know who they are. Everyone on that court knows their role. They know where the ball's going. They know when it should go there. Freaking Gabe Vincent stepped up tonight late. And when it's the Celtics, you nailed it. Rudderless is a good way to put it. But if Joe Mazzulla is supposed to be steering that ship, then he takes some of the blame. I think the fact that they are so clueless with what they're supposed to be doing and who's supposed to be doing it and when, I do think some of that does fall on Joe. I mean, the late game execution, John, this isn't just a recent thing. We've talked about it all year long. In close games, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know I'm right. In close games, these guys tend to flounder. They tend to turn the ball over. They don't maximize their possessions. They don't make the right decisions. And the opposing team, if it's a tie game, and I said this to a buddy of mine, or he said it to me, and I agreed, if it's a tie game under 2 minutes left to go, you got to go with the Heat in that situation. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened, because they just play sound basketball. And if you're the Celtics, you're flailing all over the place. You don't know if you're coming in or if you're going.
Grant
Again
Williams
tonight.
is triple pump faking in the lane, trying to get a shot up over Bam. What are you doing, man? Like,
Yeah, Bam was a beast.
When I texted you guys with like 5 minutes to go, I was like, predictions? Nobody said Celtics. Nobody did.
Sad but true. Yeah, and I wasn't trying to be a downer either. It just like felt like that's the way it was going. And it's a damn shame because they were up like 13 or something around there in that fourth quarter, and they let the Heat go. Maybe it was I don't know if it was 13, but it was around double digits, let's say. And they just can't put their foot on these guys' throats. It's the other way around. It's like Jimmy Butler finds a little opening and he goes in for the kill, and he just does it over and over, whether it was Grant, whoever. And again, you want to talk about Mazzulla, Grant was in there way too long, John. So, Long John. Grant was in there way too long. So that was, a coaching issue. Going back to Horford, I thought was a coaching mistake.
All of it. Tatum sat too long.
Tatum sitting too long.
Grant
and Tatum
played
again.
too long.
You sit Tatum to start the fourth too long. He doesn't get into any rhythm. He had 0 points for the majority of that fourth quarter.
Field goals made again
That's
in
right.
the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
So there's no flow. There's no direction out there. No one's leading this ship. And this is what you have to show for it. And it's not the first time. There's a pattern here.
And then when he comes in, what happens?
Disappointing.
He's dissed. He's out of sorts. He has to force because things have fallen apart. And then he starts turning. He almost turned it over 4 times in one possession. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, he got bailed out on one that he turned it over on.
Incredible how bad it was. Marcus Smart was freaking terrible tonight. Jaylen Brown was terrible tonight. I mean, 3 of your 5 starters were terrible. At least Joe figured out double big was over after the first stint and never went to it again. Started White. White was good. He forgot about him. He left him on the bench 23 minutes tonight. That's it. Smart was terrible, and Smart closed the game. Al was terrible, and Al was in there.
I don't understand that. Yeah.
So some really bad coaching. There was a stint in the second when Miami went on their crazy run, 21-2 run. He had basically... They're playing zone, and he had nobody out there who could handle or distribute the basketball.
This is a great message. We play so much hero ball with no hero. So true.
Yeah.
It's so true. They're not working the ball around. They're not making plays. They're not even using their timeouts at the end of games. You could have used a timeout on an inbound and got a quick 3. And maybe it goes in. Instead, you're dribbling up. You're wasting 4 or 5 seconds. You do it again. It's just like. It's the same crap. It really is the same crap. So, So I know your rage isn't there yet, John, but I have a feeling by the end of this it will be. I mean, you're down 2-0 now. You lose both your home games. You play like shit at home all postseason. I wonder if Jaylen Brown will cry to the fans that they didn't have the energy tonight. I wonder if that was the case tonight too. I mean, really, what are we even talking about now? These guys continuously let down the fans, and they want to talk about energy and all this stuff. How about you show up for the fans?
Well, that was it. And again, not going back to let's make this show a replaying of John Zannis tweets, but At the half,
Hold on, I'm
I
gonna
said
retweet it. Hold on.
at the half I said it again. Like, who were the critical guys in postgame last time, Jimmy? The guys who were critical of who were throwing the wheeze around and saying about
Yeah,
energy and focus.
Jalen.
Brown,
Yep,
smart.
yep. And those two guys tonight, yikes.
Those two guys tonight didn't do any of the little things, didn't do any of the big things, did none of the medium things. They did none of the any things. They did nothing. Jalen Brown, I'm sorry. I don't know where his head is, man. This
I
isn't a
don't either.
bad shooting night. This is a guy who fell asleep on backdoor cuts, didn't box guys out, was late getting out on shooters, was getting picked off of screens easily. Was over helping at times, was not helping at times when he needed to. A complete disaster on the defensive end. Offensively, nothing going at all. Every shot was a force. Absolute tunnel vision. Just gets the ball and shoots. Doesn't matter what's going on there. You had that stretch there late, Jimmy, that we were talking about. And they made a horrible first half. But then right at the end, you get Jalen Brown traveling. Jalen Brown falls asleep on a backdoor cut.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brown gets an offensive rebound and tries to go up against three much taller people and gets a shot blocked in one sequence in there. Just lack of any awareness whatsoever. A real disappointing game from Brown. I mean, really, really bad.
Yeah, it's tough because, again, he's almost like a microcosm of the team. You just don't know which Jalen Brown's going
Nothing.
to
I have
show
no
up.
idea.
You just
Yeah.
don't, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes he starts these games and he's super engaged and he's pacing the team and he's dropping 15 points in the first quarter and all that stuff, and he's the most athletic guy out there. And then, like you said, he looks like a space cadet out there at other times where he's just not engaged. He's not in the right position and becomes a liability. I mean, they sat
He
him for
looks like he's sleepwalking.
when
at
they
times.
sat him in Smart for a stretch. Celtics went on a
Zoom.
big run. A big run. Was it that 17-2 run that they went on? Or was it that
Might
was
have
that a
been
different
19
one?
to 2, and that's exactly what it was. And that was the lineup of Brogdon, Grant, Rob, Tatum, and White.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, White.
Yeah, and White had a good bounce back game. He had a couple big shots tonight, and it looks like he's somebody that should have played more as well. So, and maybe that's an adjustment that we'll see on Sunday. Who the hell knows, but it's tough, man. I want to keep it to this game tonight. I don't want to start looking ahead and thinking about if they lose the series to the Heat, what happens to the makeup of this team. I don't want to go there yet. That's jumping ahead, but it's hard not to think a little bit like that when you are constantly faced with these disappointing outcomes. There's something fundamentally wrong with this group of guys. Because, as we said before the series started, we all had the Celtics, or you kind of had the Celtics, but you also might have had the Heat too.
I like I said, I struggled.
I
struggled.
Um,
I really did.
the talent.
Part of me really wanted to go resoundingly, and I just couldn't do it.
I know.
to go Heat, I really wanted to, and
Because
I was like, no.
Because then the
Yeah.
Celtics would have won in 5, and you would have looked like a damn fool.
No, it's just like I said. I went with what should happen, and I feel like
Exactly.
the Celtics should win this
That's
series
it. So
instead
that's
of
my
what
point.
I thought was going to happen. It doesn't matter. I'm going to own it. I went with what I thought should happen,
Right.
and you have to rethink that. I don't know why we have this illusion of who the Celtics are when they keep showing us who they are.
That's where I was going with this, is that, we go make our predictions. We look at the team on paper, right? We look at the names and we look at what they're capable of and what we've seen them do in spurts throughout the year. And we say, okay, well, the Celtics are much better than the Heat. All that, toss it all out the window now. It all means nothing. If you've watched these first two games and you knew nothing about basketball, you knew nothing about these two teams, you would say that the Heat are a much more talented team based on what you've seen. Even though the Celtics have probably won maybe, a number of quarters and all that stuff, Joe Mazzulla will tell you how they won, 3 quarters in game 1. It doesn't matter. When the game is on the line, when shit goes down and it matters, it's very clear which team is more cool, calm, collected, and talented. And it's the Heat. Whether it's Butler, whether it's Bam, who was just a force down low with the offensive rebounds late in the game tonight. That was pathetic by the Celtics, allowing him to get, I think it was 2 on the same possession. He got one, then it was a foul. Then I think he got another one, and he put the dunk. He just threw that dunk down. and then just screamed over everybody. Probably, I imagine the arena was completely silent at that point. Gabe Vincent, Strus doing the electric slide as Reggie Miller put it on the sidelines. But, I mean, these are guys that are stepping up in the absolute most important moments of their careers or when they need to. And they're showing that, screw what the statistics show or what the record shows, they're just as talented, if not more, than the guys that everyone assumes is going to win this game. The Celtics were 10-point favorites tonight. And I think they were 8-point favorites in game one. If you're just betting money line against the Celtics at the start of the playoffs, you're probably a millionaire by now because of how many. Because think about it, John. They were probably huge favorites against the Hawks. They lost 2. Huge favorites against the Heat, and they've already lost 2. And they were favorites in every game against the Sixers, and they lost 3. These guys are not holding up their end of the bargain of what it is. I mean, it's just obvious at this point. They're not who we thought they were. Denny Green would not be saying, yeah, or if you're Expulstra, you are saying they are who we thought they were.
That was
if you're
so
a Celtics fan,
yeah.
I don't know how you're going to spin this one. These Celtics fans, a lot of the green teamers out there who, you can't say boo about the Celtics. I have a feeling that they're pretty quiet tonight because you can certainly say boo.
Jimmy, it's our job as analysts and media members to be supportive of the Celtics, as I've been told.
Right, we don't want to run them
multiple times
right.
on Twitter because you don't want to say something and have Jaylen Brown leave, do you? Right now, the entire chat is like, Jaylen Brown, please leave.
No, but if the Celtics get swept in this series against the Heat and Jaylen Brown asks to leave, John, you're
Sherrod in the logo.
You're reason number 1. And Sherrod's number 2. He's
Sherrod,
number 2.
What's up, guys?
Sherrod, you can't go to the head rub this early
What's
in
up,
the
bro?
show.
Yeah, you got to give us 15
minutes. That's like
minutes
the 50-minute mark.
John, I've been at the head rub mode from the freaking end of the third quarter. My gosh. What the heck? Listen.
Sherrod was pissed after game 1. I'm actually a little nervous. I'm a little nervous for
that's the thing is, I
here.
am going to be less angry because I want you to have room to be more angry, Sherrod.
Here's what pisses me off more than anything else. It seems as if everything that the Celtics are doing to try to combat what Miami is doing is like on a delayed timer. Like everything is like Grant Williams plays pretty good in game 2. He should have been in game 1. Some of the timeouts that they called in game 2 should have been called in similar runs in game 1. It's like they
double big should have been abandoned before the start of game 2 when it was evident in game 1 it didn't work.
We all thought it would be.
He already abandoned it in game 1 because he only played them together 9 minutes. He knew it was a bad idea then and then forgot 2 days later and started them again.
And started the third quarter. You've got the small lineup out there. Wow. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Got it.
This is just mind-blowing that, and it really, we could talk about all the different mistakes they're making, but the bottom line is this: Miami is a more mentally tough team. Malcolm Brogdon alluded to that the other day, where he talked about, at this point, it's not about X's and O's and talent, it's about mental toughness, and he's right. And that's not good for the Celtics. I mean, when you got freaking Gabe Vincent, who missed 6 of his first 7 shots, he's the guy that's delivering daggers late in the game. When you got Jimmy Butler, who was basically kind of just relaxed, cool, had a little bit of that, the happy face coffee that he likes to drink. It was just real mellow. And then Grant, bless his heart. I thought we were going to have Grant Appreciation Day, but then he pissed Jimmy off. And Jimmy became just a different.
Bobby thought that too. Bobby thought he was going to come on here and take a victory lap.
Well,
Can you believe that?
This is the thing. I mean, Grant, not only did he piss him off, but then he had to guard him, and he allowed Jimmy to get to his sweet spot along the baseline. I mean, I don't know. I would much rather see Jimmy try to penetrate, go to the middle, than just shoot that damn fadeaway baseline, because that shot is money. He has made millions, literally made millions off his ability to knock down a shot. This was... the season is not obviously officially over, but damn, this game is about mental toughness, and Miami has been far and away the more mentally tough team.
Sherrod, I don't want to pick on Grant, But for him to,
But I'm gonna.
and I already brought this up right off the top.
The fact that you opened up your statement with that knows exactly what you're going to do.
Jimmy, we all know that nothing anyone says matters before the butt. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't want to pick on him, but he didn't get picked on enough as a kid, I don't think, because if he did, I don't think he would be as reckless and wild as he is out there in the courtyard. How do you go at, if you're Grant Williams, how do you go at Jimmy Butler, knowing what Jimmy Butler is capable of, and knowing that you can't spook the boogeyman, okay? Like, you don't poke the bear, like, the boogeyman's going to get you in the end, and that's exactly what happened.
Jimmy, one of the things about Grant, and I would say this it counts for, I'd say 99.8% of the players in the NBA, they are irrationally confident about their ability. They believe that because they're but Jimmy, that's the point. Grant feels that Jimmy's a good player, but shit, I'm a good player too. In his mind, I can do some things out there too.
I don't want to be in that mind.
When he kept his mouth shut and just let the game play out, he was right. I thought for the most part when he was on Jimmy, he did a pretty deep. He did as good a job, if not better, than most of the other guys. But the minute they had that little spat, Jimmy was just like, oh, okay.
Jimmy laughed in his face. Well, the disrespect. That picture is not going away. That video clip is not going away.
I mean,
Grant
game one, it was Peyton Pritchard, who Jimmy was just like, wait a minute, you gotta be kidding me.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen a player of Grant's caliber
go
at a player of Butler's caliber?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure it has happened. I know it's happened.
I know,
but I can't recall.
Like, you're not on the same plane of existence, okay? It's not.
You're a skid mark on the pants of the league.
No one. There's one thing to get mad about. There's one thing to get. Yeah, look, we just watched Dylan Brooks do it to LeBron, so obviously it happens. But then he got eviscerated by media and fans alike, and then Memphis basically said, "We don't want you back," even though we don't have to say that now. But we're so eager to tell you that we don't want you here that we're just going to kind of leak it.
The Celtics, I don't think will go that far, but Celtics Nation, yeah, they probably they're there.
I think there were already however many nails go in a coffin. Let's say there were 20. 19 of them were in there. This was the 20th one. Okay, this was it. That was it. It's like I can't trust.
He's Leroy Jenkins.
I cannot trust you to not be an idiot. To not do the thing I don't want you to do.
Leroy.
And you know what? He was trying so hard. You could tell. Because Grant, let's face it, his instinct is to run his mouth. That's what he wants to do. And he has done everything he could to bottle it up. But damn it, of all the different periods in his life and his time in Boston to flap his gums, this was probably the worst one.
Dude.
Because you had this game. Jimmy was kind of checked out for the most part.
Jimmy was gassed, and you had an opportunity, and you mucked it.
You lit the fire, man. You of all the guys in the league, that's the one guy that you probably should.
They were going down.
This isn't Tobias Harris. This isn't,
right.
Maxey.
Exactly.
This isn't James Harden. This is freaking Jimmy Butler.
I know,
yeah.
dude.
I mean, I still don't think Jimmy needed this in order to pull it around, but he did.
He didn't need it, but he got it, and he used it to his advantage.
But he got it. Anyway, we're going to pause just for a second. I want to get Sherrod's take on some of the Joe stuff. Joe, he did start talking about how they're a little late to do a few things, and I totally think that that's reasonable. But I also want to talk about.
We just talked about that.
But I'm saying on top of the late, I want to talk about some things that just flat out didn't happen and why they didn't happen. But first off, we want to welcome a new sponsor to the Garden Report, and that is Factor Meals. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. So forget about cooking. Just get yourself some Factor Meals, and you are done. It just shows up to your doorstep. It can fuel you up fast, ready-to-eat meals, save time, eat well, tackle everything on your to-do list, especially now you're heading into potentially the summer months. You want to be out more. You want to be doing more stuff, enjoying your free time.
I'm going to have some free time pretty damn soon.
We all are, I'm afraid. You don't want to be in a hot kitchen You'd rather just be able to kind of get your meals, eat, prep them quick and go, and that's what it does. With Factor's fresh, never frozen meals ready in 2 minutes, and like I said, right to your door. You can get calorie conscious options here. Calorie smart meals, 550 calories or less.
Okay, there you go, John.
Do whatever. Absolutely. Get the light stuff. Keto, calorie
Wow.
smart, vegan, veggie, protein plus, anything you want. Prepared by chefs, sent to you at your door, ready to go. So again, all you have to do is go to factormeals.com. Read it off the screen there.
/Garden50.
/Garden50. You get 50% off your first box.
I like how it's Garden50. What's that? 50 days to Summer League? Is that
it's
what we're talking
50%
about
off.
now?
You goof. Yeah, exactly.
50 days to Summer League, everybody. Start the countdown.
Yeah, you
Jimmy's got jokes tonight.
See some of these. Look at this. Oh, ooh.
Oh, wow. Is that a
There we
John
go.
Zannis pie?
Ooh.
Is that Shredder?
It looks. Oh, you get drinks too? Did I miss that?
Ooh, you get good stuff there. So
I think
yeah,
I got myself a new stack.
Check that out. If you check it out and you do support our sponsor, as always, bang, t-shirt. That's what we do here.
It's a good looking
Get a t-shirt. Fill out the form. Back to this, okay? Oh, we're not doing that. Predictions. That's too late for that.
Predictions. Oh, God. Pain. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. So, Sherrod, we talked about late. Let's talk about things that didn't happen. Again, the easiest thing to nitpick when you're, when you're on the sideline and watching is who you played, rotations, not playing. But there are those moments in time when everybody all screams out at once, "What are you doing?" And like there was a couple of those in this game. I think in the fourth quarter for sure. I think sticking with Grant too long was something obvious. Way too long. Clearly overstayed his welcome. I think Joe was happy it was working, but whatever. The other one was Rob. Rob was so clearly more effective than Horford, and White was so much clearly more effective than Smart. I know you want to go back to your guys. I know that's your starters, but that just feels like AI robot, who hasn't learned enough yet, programmed before the game to do what you're supposed to do in the game, and then just didn't, as you said, late to figure it out. Maybe next game he'll read the situation and play the guys who are playing better. But in this game, these guys were playing poorly, and you were getting really good performances out of the others. They were more effective. I don't understand going with what they went with. And he sat Tatum way too long as well. So, again, all of these things are things that I think almost like universally everyone's like, what are you doing, man? It's still not the reason. The reason was the players who were on the court simply couldn't execute while the other team could. But all of these things is just not helping.
Felt like coaching Chat GPT was out there where this just wasn't real. Like this was like some computer spitting out some numbers and this is
you will close the game with Harford and Smart.
I mean, this was and again,
I hate starters. Starters.
Finish with the starters.
This was not a smart game that he coached. It just wasn't. I mean, you're up by 12 points in the fourth quarter in a must-win type game at home. You got to find a way to win that thing. You've got to pull out all the stops. When you know your team, you should know your team by now to know that a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter is not anything remotely close to being safe. And the minute that lead got down to like maybe 7 or 5, I'm trying to stop it then, rather than let it play out for a couple of possessions. The next thing you know, you're calling a timeout and it's a tie score. Again, everything comes too damn late. And it's been like this for most of the postseason.
But there's a lot of coaching by numbers sort of stuff that Joe does. And I know there's an issue here, but
how about coaching by what you see? How about coaching by instinct? How about coaching by what's happening, what's not happening? Let's try that for a change.
Absolutely. I mean, it's again, you're supposed to feel things out and kind of get a read and a feel for the game, who's on the floor, whether it's effective versus the other lineup versus effective what they're doing. You have them in there going zone. You might need a particular lineup in there to combat that. The guys you have out there aren't going to be able to do it. Any lineup that doesn't have Jason Tatum when Miami goes zone is doomed. Okay, so the Jaylen Brown led lineup in that second quarter when things went to when they pissed that lead away was bad. It was really bad. You could see that. They didn't have enough people to be able to pass and to beat that zone. And Joe just let it happen because it is time for Jason Tatum to get a rest. We must put him on the bench, and it was predetermined. So, that's what happened there. he must get her. But then there's there's so much
It's
coaching
the
by
start of
numbers,
the
which
fourth
is like
quarter.
the shots that they're willing to live with and how they play their defense. And if those shots are falling, they just keep letting them fall. So it's like, again, I don't want to keep going into my, computer Joe mode, but it's like, let them take contested two, let them take
Right.
twos, long twos are good. So what they do, they stare at guys who have an open jumper, friggin' practice jumper, and they're like, that Joe said, let them take that shot. So I'm not even going to extend. They don't have anything better to do. There's no reason for them not to contest, but they'll just sit there and watch them take it. Like that's a good shot for the opponents to take. Joe told me, threes are good to take. It doesn't matter how early in the clock. It doesn't matter that you didn't get paint touches. It's just, open three, take it. And that's what they did a little bit in the first half. A lot of Jalen's shots, some Malcolm ones were rushed. They didn't get a single paint touch on any of their threes in the first, in the first quarter at all. They weren't moving the ball inside out at all. So a lot of that stuff is, Joe wants us to take threes. Joe wants us to let them take long twos. But it has nothing to do with what's going on the basketball court at that time or what's necessarily the right thing to be doing.
Exactly. It's not understanding like the flow of the game and like what's happening out there. If you have to play within the game, right? So they only took 35 threes tonight. They shot below 30% from three. The Celtics did. So Spoelstra is 100% spot on, Sherrod. I don't know if you caught it because you were at the game. But he was caught in the huddle. John, what exactly did he say?
He's caught in the huddle, basically talking to that second unit when the Celtics are going on a run. He said, "Guys, just do what I told you. Like, just if they don't hit three, if they can't hit their threes, they can't win." So he's basically telling his second unit, if you do the one thing I told you to do to beat this team, we're going to beat them easily. They cannot win this game unless they do this thing, which I know what it is, and I know how easily we can stop it. So just do what I told you to do, and that's it. And I mean, it was so depressing because it's kind of sadly true.
It is, and the thing about the zone defense, you knew that they're going to do that at some point. And the way that you're taught to attack a zone is you don't shoot threes, you dribble, drive, attack, force that zone to sag or collapse, and either kick it out or look to hit the floater. And they weren't looking to do that. Or there were a couple times where they would pass the ball to Rob, who's at the freaking free throw line or between the free throw line and the basket, and he'd kick it out. I'm like, shoot the damn wide open shot because Bam is not going to let you get any close to the rim. There were so many opportunities for them to get easy, uncontested shots that they just say, no, we're not going to take this easy, uncontested two. We're going to take a lightly contested three or a tightly contested three instead. It's as if they don't seem to understand the fact that you have to make on-the-fly adjustments and literally take what the defense is giving you. If they're contesting your threes, then you got to be able to finish at the rim. I thought the game plan early on was a good one. You looked at they looked like they were trying to get some action established around the basket, try to draw Bam a little bit away, get Marcus do some things and like that. That was a smart game plan. And then they just kind of said, oh, you know what? We're done. We tried for like 5 minutes. We're good.
Yeah. I was just reading through the chat. By the way, guys, I'm not blaming Grant Williams for the loss. I just wanted to comment on that stretch of play because I thought it was.
No, Grant wasn't the reason they lost.
Of course not.
He just did
yeah,
a dumb
I mean,
thing.
honestly, yeah, he did. But we were just talking about how again another Missoula issue. Why has it been so long since we've seen Grant in a game? Clearly, he's got enough. He's capable of helping in a number of ways on both ends of the court. So, that's something that Bobby will probably hit on a little bit later. But it comes down to, and we haven't even criticized these guys nearly enough yet. And they're the two stars of the team is Jalen and Jason, Tatum and Brown. Look, what do you got?
I just got Joe. I just wanted to get some Joe sound, and then let's hit on Jalen after that because Jimmy, we talked about it briefly, but I don't understand what he was doing tonight. But here's Joe talking about. I mean, what's everyone saying about why the Heat are winning? They're tougher, right? They're tougher mentally.
Yeah, they are.
Here's Joe talking about.
They're like mature.
Joe, is this a point where it's mental? It seems like they know they can get you guys. They know they can catch you guys. They didn't seem to panic. You guys seem to have just the yips a little bit. Is it mental at this point? And how,
Sorry.
And how do you get out of that mentality where you think you're playing not to lose?
I mean, I think that, like you said, it's a series of discipline and a mindset. So yeah, it's mental from the standpoint of who can make the right plays at the right times, who can make the simple plays, who can win those details and those margins. So yeah, it's definitely mental.
Josue.
Yeah, and that's not good for the Celtics because Miami came into this as the tougher team mentally, and they're going to leave this series as the tougher team mentally. You were hoping that the Celtics' talent would be enough to override that mental toughness and that it wouldn't become a game of wits where you've got to make the smart plays down the stretch to win. And it just hasn't been that case for the Celtics. They've allowed Miami to be in the game all night long, and Miami in that situation, that's exactly what they want because they know they're going to make the plays down the stretch, and the Celtics aren't.
I'd like to comment on one thing on that soundbite as well. He's right on the mental thing. Notice Joe's demeanor there, especially look who was asking the question. That was Gary.
Yeah, it was Gary.
Okay, Joe and Gary do this.
Love
it. When Gary asks questions. When Gary asks questions, Joe doesn't want to answer. Joe answered that and was very humble and was very respectful and looks a little bit shook up there because I think he's realizing this is hard and coaching is hard and playing against these guys is hard. And I'm not saying he's feeling that he's in over his head, but I think he's at least recognizing maybe I shouldn't be up here being defensive and combative with people because things are getting away from us right now and I got to figure it out.
Lessons are always being learned, no matter whether you're a first-year coach or a 21st-year coach. And Joe he's getting baptism by fire. I mean, you can see it on his face there. You can see it on his face. And I know we're upset and we're pissed and we're bothered by the fact that they're down 2-0, but I do believe, and Joe is going to become a better coach because of this. I'm 100% sure that he's going to learn from this series and become a better coach, whether it's next year, 2 years from now. There's tremendous value in the schooling that he's getting from Spoelstra. Because Spoelstra, again, he has a clear, it's not even that he has a pulse for his team. He's like, they're in his blood. He knows exactly how to get the most out of his team, put them in positions to be the best version of themselves over and over and over again. And the one thing that Miami Heat do better than I think most teams is they recognize the moment. They understand that those first 82 games, while they have value, this is where you're defined. This is where your legacy, the way that you are viewed, the way that you're respected and disrespected, this comes out right now. Miami has been I knew, and we all knew they were the more mentally tough team, but damn, I did not think the ass kicking would be like this from a mentally tough standpoint. They're getting lapped.
And again, the reason a lot of us are players number one. Always get the biggest slice of the blame pie. But you almost do feel bad for Joe at times because you recognize it's not a position he's supposed to be in. So there is some leeway there. The problem is again, the one coaching matchup in the entire playoffs that you were really worried going up against where you could get worked a little bit is here. And if the games are going to be tight and they're going to be, contested, and you've got to both make sure your team is mentally prepared to play and push the right buttons and get them in there and make adjustments and match a very smart, tactical coach. That's asking a lot. And I think it's getting away a little bit here, and in a way that's kind of visible. But again, I don't blame the coach.
Humbling, perhaps. Humbly,
I'm humbly the best coach here. I'm humbly the best coach in this media room right now. No, it's fine, but it's like, Joe gets a little defensive because I think he's insanely intense, and he believes in what he's doing and he doesn't want to get questioned. And I've always thought this too, and I'm not just making excuses. I think it's friggin' bananas that players and coaches, after really big moments and really big games, are thrown up there and forced to listen to us assholes. Ask them dumb, uninformed questions or whatever. Just ask them any questions. Obviously, they know way more than everybody in the room about what's going on. Obviously, they don't feel like being necessarily questioned or picked apart, or people, coming at them with gotcha questions, and their blood is up. They just got out of this battle, and then they have to sit there and deal with it. So I always do think it's tough there, and I think that's why he's responded the way he's responded. But again, you just got to look at some of the things that went on there. It's great to learn from it, but you don't have time to learn right now, and it's going to cost you.
And that's the problem.
It's going to cost you a trip to the finals, perhaps, and some of the things that maybe could have been done differently, that could have saved you a game or two along the way, which might be, or a game which might be the difference. I don't know that he's able to do it. As you said, Sherrod, it's a really great way to put it. Everything's a little bit on delay. He's not processing in real time.
A trip to the finals in one of the most wide open years of getting to the finals that we've seen in probably the last decade. And you are not going to make it happen. They're going to have to do the unprecedented. I mean, and this isn't like, years ago when, the Celtics lost first 2 games at home because Rajon Rondo was in Chicago and just playing out of his mind. Rondo got hurt. People forget he got hurt, and that was the catalyst to them coming back that year. There is no one – the Celtics, there's nothing that they can lean on and feel good about going into Game 3. I mean, because Miami has shown that as long as they can keep the game close, they're going to find a way to win. And Miami, again, this was another game where they shot really well. I mean, they shot better than 45% from the field. 3-point shooting was better than Boston. They've been more impactful defensively. You start looking at all the receipts that Miami is stacking up in this series, and the idea that Boston could win 4 of the next 5 against Miami is incredibly far-fetched.
It almost feels like, maybe I'm off, but it almost feels like this team or these guys, like they thrive off of like negativity, like being doubted. Like they're always trying to prove somebody wrong. And now it's like they're heavy favorites. And I wonder if that's hard for them to get themselves fired up to go. I don't know. Like I'm trying to explain to myself or try to figure out why they're having so much trouble beating some of these teams. And when you look at them individually, like Jaylen Brown's always out to try to prove that he's an All-NBA guy. Tatum's out to prove everyone wrong that he's a first-team guy and that he's an MVP guy, or whatever it is down the line. But so now it's like, okay, you are. We are all saying that you're those things. So what are you going to get fired up? What are you going to get fired up about? What are you going to get? Who's out to get you at this point? Nobody. Everyone thinks that you guys are the much better team, that you should win this game. When they're at home, it's like the support from the fans doesn't seem to do much. It's like when they're on the road and everybody's booing them and up against them, it's like they can rally around each other and try to prove everybody wrong and ruin everybody's day over there. So I'm trying to figure out like the mental makeup of this team. And I can't because, I don't think anybody can at this point. But I don't have any real rhyme or reason to why they show up the way they do one game and why they disappear on another game. And it's not – it's been all year. But, I mean, John, we mentioned it earlier. Jaylen Brown tonight. I mean, who was that guy? This is the same guy that for a long stretch of the regular season was the best player on the Celtics by far. And even in parts of the playoffs too. So, again, it's so hard. People ask me, oh, what do you think is going to happen in the game tonight? Or who's going to win the series? It's like, honestly, dude, I have no freaking clue. Anyone who tells you they do is lying to you. There's no way to figure out this team. Again, they were 10-point favorites tonight. Even Vegas, the most knowledgeable, handicappers in the world, are completely clueless. They're dumbfounded. They've lost their shirt on this team.
ESPN statistical model that had this at 97% chance that the Celtics are going to advance. But it's a lot of things. Tonight was not an effort night to me. Tonight was a I don't know
execution.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing out here sort of night. You always talk about like, one of the great strengths of someone like Belichick, cross sports reference here, but talking about the Patriots was always making the opponent play left-handed, do the things that you're not necessarily comfortable doing. I feel like some players are being taken out of their comfort zone, Jaylen Brown being one of them, and he doesn't know what to do. He's put in a position where he's seeing a lot of bodies. He's forcing the issue. He's not able to get, directly to the paint the way he wants to. Things are getting clogged up, early at the point of attack where, they're sending bodies at him. So he's forcing things. He's just out of sorts. And it's affecting him all over the court. I think a lot of different things. A lot of players here are just kind of struggling to react to things that are happening to them in real time. But again, some of it is just simply like, just know what you're supposed to be doing. Like some of the stuff on defense, just getting confused, leaving guys open, falling asleep on back doors and things like that. That's just, you're going to credit Miami for all the things they do well, but you just can't beat yourself because they're not going to beat themselves. So
they're not.
They want you to beat yourself. They want you to turn it over. They want you to do dumb shit. And that's just what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan Robinson getting layups at the rim repeatedly.
Duncan Robinson. Also, they ran the same play to get Robinson an open three, top of the key, like 3 out of 4 plays in a row, and they couldn't figure it out. They were going under screens there and letting him just get to the top and shoot that. You saw that's a layup for him. Luckily, he didn't make every single one of them, but he splashed 2 of them at a critical time. Just dumb shit. So. It's been frustrating. Here's Rob talking about what's going on in the game. Rob was great. We're gonna talk about whether or not you want to potentially make an adjustment here, and tweak the starting lineup even further in Game 3, potentially doing what hasn't been done all year and putting Al to the bench. I don't think it's a ridiculous notion at this point. But here's Rob.
Rob, what did you see that broke down offensively in the fourth quarter?
Just effort. Playing the right way the whole game, honestly, in my opinion, and trusting each other. We got to gain that trust and keep that trust throughout the whole game.
Do you feel like that wavers?
Yeah, I mean, we lost, so it's obviously something we need to get together, man. Time is running out, we ain't got time for these mess-ups, so.
Rob.
What's up, like
Trust.
a squeaky
jacket?
Trusted.
Rob bringing some heat there. I like that.
Yeah,
he was. That might have been the most critical I've ever heard Rob.
Ever.
It's life.
Ever.
It's that time. I mean, the thing that I've always loved about the playoffs is that in some way, shape, or form, the truth about who you are is going to get exposed. You are going to get exposed for better or for worse. And the Celtics, they've been exposed. They're not as mentally tough as we thought they were. Period. Miami, significantly tougher mentally. And that has been the biggest difference in the series. They're doing all the hard things, making all the hard plays, getting their best players to be as close to the best version of themselves as they can. Now, Jason Tatum, he's been actually pretty damn good in this series. He hasn't been great, but he's been pretty good. He's done enough to be a guy that contributes to a winning cause. But Jalen, I think, is taking a step back in this series. Derek White, I think, is taking a step back in this series. Al has taken several steps back in this series at both ends of the floor. Because not only is he's not knocking down the corner three, but he's getting his ass kicked by Bam badly. Just that matchup has been just really, really bad. I didn't think it was a great one for him. I did not think it would be this bad. And so you're right, John, the point that you made about Rob. Rob needs to play more.
Rob should have played more tonight. This is one of the few games where, not the few, but this is one of the games I can remember recently where I'm screaming for Rob to be in the game late. Just because Al Horford usually finishes the game doesn't mean that you just have to put him in there automatically because that's how it, typically is. Rob Williams was a plus tonight on the court. And he wasn't the only guy who was a plus that was sitting on the bench at the end of the game. Just because those guys typically sit on the bench at the end of the game. No, play the guys who are effective in this game or in this series. Nothing personal against Al Horford, but he has not looked like himself recently. And I think that's a big reason why double big isn't working. I don't think it's necessarily a double big issue. I think it might be an Al Horford issue. So whatever it is, you don't just need to fall back on everything that you've done just because of the sake of you've been doing it. Go with what's working for you. Play White, play Brogdon, play Rob Williams. Those guys are playing well for you. Am I wrong? Or
no, I mean, look, two of your best 3 players tonight weren't playing down the stretch.
There you go.
make that make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the tough part.
Because
is-
of what? Because of the
I mean, look, man.
players typically play at this
I
time in
get
the
it.
game.
Here's the thing. This has always been the question. This is a question from early in the season when we talked about this. I said this. What am I worried about with Joe? Is he gonna have what it takes to yank a player like Smart or a player like Al when they're playing poorly and let someone else close the game? I said that as my number one concern for him.
Mostly it was about Smart.
About Smart being one of them because you had two capable players behind him. Right. But even when it came to Al, but it very much focused on Smart. Will he be able to do that? And the answer has been no almost throughout. These are my guys. So Smart gets the same deferential treatment that you would give to Brown and Tatum.
Smart's been playing well. Of
course, Brown or Tatum, even in the worst day of their lives, are going to be. Again, we saw it with the 1-for-14 Tatum game in Game 6 against Philly. Tatum and Brown get the benefit of the doubt. Doesn't matter if they're having the worst games of their lives. They're going to be out there to close. Okay? The other guys have not earned the benefit of that doubt. And that's what we said is you've got enough people to be able to rotate pieces around and play the game the way you want it and read the game. But he's not doing that. He's got his predetermined rotations. When you knew when Rob came in and when Rob was in the fourth quarter, for as long as he was not in a position to be able to close the game because he just played a 7-minute stretch there and he came out at the 5 or 6 minute mark. That was it. Like you messed it up already. If your goal was to close with Rob, you just played him too many minutes here, and now you're not going to be able to bring him back. You're going to have to finish. Same thing with Smart started on the bench there in the fourth. It's predetermined that that's what he's closing with, and it's just not the right. It's just not the right way to coach.
It's not even coaching. It's not even coaching at that point. Anybody can just, it's this time.
Right. It's like handing someone a lineup card and then going upstairs and having a meal.
Right.
GPT.
Yeah. It's
Coach GPT.
It's just on autopilot.
Marcus comes in with 5:34 left in the game.
Yeah. Hey, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go out for a half hour. Just make sure that this guy's in at this time and this guy's in at this time, and I'll be back at the end of the game. All right.
Yeah,
like anybody can do that.
I'm going to the Sunday bar.
Yeah. Right, Josue?
Yeah. You already know, Jimmy.
Josue is going to come in and say, guys, I liked what I saw tonight. I got Celtics in 6.
What? Jalen was great.
I like one or not like. I don't know if I like their odds, but I made one prediction after a Celtics L, and I still can't live it down, I guess.
No, you have the floor. What's up, dude?
Oh, man. It's weird in there, guys. Tell
me.
Between Grant Williams' defensive, I don't even know what to call it. His thought process as to why he played or what he did out there, and compared to what other people saying about poking the bear. Now, Jaylen Brown got that question. I don't know if you guys went over it, but
I got it actually. I think I don't know if
we haven't gotten any.
Am I teasing it? Maybe I teased it, but
hold on. I don't know.
He didn't even want to get into it.
Why don't you tell us what you heard? Because we have no idea.
Yeah, why don't you tell us?
All right. I was going to tease it, but no, he just said next question. So clearly he doesn't even want to get into it. But when you ask Grant Williams, I asked him if did he know he was going to play tonight, and two, if you didn't know, what do you think earned the opportunity? And he just went right into his response as to what he brings to the team essentially. And he told me, I'm ready for whatever coach asks me. No matter what's said to me, no matter if I don't play, no matter if I play, I'm ready if Joe needs me. I came with an edge, mental, physical, and I'm going to continue to do that whether I play or not. I'm going to be there for my teammates. In terms of the strategy behind it, I have no idea. For me, I'm just going to come out here and play to help this team win, and that's the number one priority. So it felt very defensive. It felt as if whatever people are going to say about me, let me get this out in front. Beforehand. And Jaylen Brown is the first one, I guess, to get a question about Grant specifically, or at least that incident between Jimmy Butler and Grant Williams. And Jaylen had his response, had his remark, and Jason Tatum's going up next. Bobby's in there right now, so he should be back in a little bit, but Tatum's the last one to speak.
Sherrod, is it weird? I've never understood this. Is it weird to not tell people that they're going to play?
Yeah.
If you're in a rotation, you just know that. But if typically, if you have in your mind as a coach that you're probably going to play a guy that night, you let him know that, you know what, you're going to probably get in there. So
Get
just be
ready.
ready.
Just a little one. Get ready. You're going to get
Right.
some run. You don't have
Yeah.
to tell him you're going to play 24 minutes, but get ready. I'm going to use you tonight. All right. Just
Yeah.
get yourself ready. Strange,
if you've
right?
got that mindset going into the game that you're going to do that, yeah. But if you don't think about that and then you get to the game and like, yeah, let me just throw him out there now. Go get in. I don't understand why you do that, because it just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't play him, particularly with his ability to be physical and Jimmy Butler, because you don't have anyone who could do that. And I thought Grant, before again that little tiff out there, I thought did a decent job. Everything changed after that, obviously, but whatever Joe Mazzulla doesn't see with Grant, it's weird. It feels weird. It doesn't really make
It
a lot of
feels
sense.
punitive.
Yeah, and yeah, I know Grant runs his mouth a bit, and that could be problematic, but he's still an NBA player. He's still a guy that can help your team
You can't
win.
make it personal if you're the head
He's still
coach.
getting $20 million next year.
Yeah,
maybe over
about that.
totality.
What's going on with John? This isn't helping his cause.
No, I know.
No.
I left this comment up because I think this is excellent. I think when we keep saying, oh, they're the more talented team, they're the more talented team, I agree with this comment. Hustle is a talent. Intelligence is a talent. Mental toughness is a talent.
Instincts. Yeah.
Instincts. All of these are talents, okay? Otherwise, it's not, you're not just out there like doing at the combine, you know? Like, it's not just, oh, this guy runs fast and jumps high and he made 100 free throws in a row. Like, what you do
Everybody
with all
looks
of
good
your,
in shorts.
yeah, what you do with all of your talent matters, you know? Heart matters, all of that stuff. And I'm not saying they have none. All I'm saying is I do believe, and a lot of people have said regarding this team, that they are approaching games with a regular season mentality, not understanding it goes up like 5 notches. It's not like you just click it up a little for the playoffs. By the time you get to conference finals, it goes way up, okay? And again, it's the type of stuff you don't realize until you get older and you've had a 4-year drought of making the playoffs and you're like, oh man, I really wish I'd tried like much, much, much harder back then. It's not that they're not trying at all. It's just requires more than you've ever given. Do the Celtics look like they're giving more than they have ever given?
No. And you know what's worse? You know what's worse too? Like, not that the Heat should be afraid of them, but it's just more so in this game too that you can just tell there's no fear. They don't strike fear in this
None.
game. The Celtics
The Heat absolutely believe that they're beating this team. It's not like this isn't USA versus the Soviets where like we got a lead and we got to hold on to it. They're totally confident.
Exactly. I mean, and the best example of that is wiping out a 12-point deficit in less than 4 minutes. Like they're looking at each other like, we got this. Like we could just get these guys on the ropes and keep them there into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And then we blow past them. They won't be ready for whether it's a fatigue thing or just completely the wow factor behind the fact that they eliminated a double-digit deficit twice, you know, in that game. So, and it happened quickly too, man. I mean, Khalid Martin was comfortable out there. Duncan Robinson is back. It's like they take turns, you know, those role players that they have, and it's like, oh no, tonight's my turn, and then you know the other night was, you know, someone else, and tonight it was Martin, man. Martin was doing everything he wanted out there, and all those big plays and those type of production from guys like that, it all adds up, and they don't need another Bam or someone like that or his part, you know, like what Jalen is to Tatum. They don't need that. These guys just out hustle you, and it's mental. It's all mental.
I'm super impressed with Miami right now and what they're doing. I mean, I was impressed watching them beat the other teams as well. I didn't honestly think a great deal of the Knicks there. Certainly what they did to Milwaukee every single game. I felt like a lot of that was the Jimmy Butler show. I just didn't. So that's why I think we might have viewed it a little bit lightly coming in, which is, yeah, Giannis was down and Butler lost his friggin' mind, and they just absolutely took it to Milwaukee, and they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for that kind of heat that early in the playoffs. I thought the Knicks were totally a beatable team as well. So I just didn't see it. I thought Miami would scrap, but there'd be a couple of blowouts here where the Celtics would just overwhelm them, and Miami would have to really scratch and claw to win the close games to be able to keep this competitive. So kudos to them. Here's Jaylen Brown talking about, I don't know, whatever. Let's hear it.
Is it mental? I mean, going back to the bubble, they just seem to be the tougher team down the stretch, games 1 and 2. They just seem they know they can catch you. Jimmy knows he can get to his spots. Is it mental, and how do you guys try to recapture that where you have the edge?
Just got to come out and fight, play basketball. I think both of these 2 games, they've been able to come out on top, but who's to say we can't come out on top in the next 2 games? We just got to come ready to play basketball. Can't lose our confidence. It's the first to 4. Should make for a better story.
Next question.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
One win at a time. That's what Joe Mazzulla told me also. Just one win at a time. That's what he told the guys after this.
That's what we've seen so far. One at a time, you lose game 1. Okay, one at a time, let's run it back. Oh, we lose game 2. How's one at a time working so far?
I'll play the Grant bite.
Under
too.
500 at home, Sherrod.
Here's the Grant bite.
Yeah.
Did Grant Williams make a mistake poking the bear with Jimmy Butler?
Next question.
In those moments when he starts to come alive, how does your team need to respond and kind of fight back against that?
Defensively, just continue to fight. This team is going to fight from beginning to end. Hey, that's what they do. And those little moments of lapses cost us, giving up threes, not being into the body, offensive rebounds. That stuff has an effect on the game, and we got to be better. I got to be better.
Jay literally had the next question ready.
He did have it ready.
What does it mean? Okay, let me ask you guys this. What does it mean by him saying next question? Like, what is?
It means
what are we supposed
no
to take
comment.
from that? I know,
It's
but
a go.
why?
It means that if he's telling you the truth about and answer the question truthfully, it's going to not go well in
For
the
him.
locker room.
Yeah.
Because we all know damn well that when he poked the bear, Jimmy came alive. That's bad. That's bad.
But also, you know what? And 2 things here. 1, 2 things are true. 1, Grant Williams did poke the bear and whatever, woke up Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler did his thing. 2, last time I checked, the Celtics had an All-NBA first teamer and an All-NBA second teamer. They had Derek White, who was All-NBA second team defense. They have plenty of guys on that team who should be able to stop Jimmy Butler. Okay, let's stop acting like Jimmy Butler is a man amongst the boys out there, even though that is what it looks like.
Jimmy.
That's what it looks like, right? But, and again, did Grant maybe do something stupid? Yes. Are the Celtics fully capable enough, or should they be fully capable enough to not let one person punk you up and down the court and flip the game like that? Yes. So yeah, I want to blame Grant for being, dumb in that sense, but I'm not letting these other guys off the hook for letting that happen. Man up. If you need to regroup, call a timeout, and talk it out amongst yourselves, go ahead and do that. I know the timeouts are foreign on that team, but man, you got to rally the troops together and just give it right back to them.
Yeah.
That's all. Well, what are we talking about here? I mean, all those things are true. Grant Williams did something stupid, but shame on the rest of the team for not maybe having Grant's back a little bit more and backing him up and doing the same thing to Jimmy Butler. Knock him down a couple times. I don't know. You got to do something.
This was a game where somebody should have said, you know what? I got Jimmy. I'm gonna take this challenge on. I'm gonna find a way to just shut this funnel off.
But Sherrod, they wouldn't let Payton into the game though. No, I'm just kidding.
Josue, if I could I would right now. I totally would if I had that power. I would absolutely shut up, Josue. Right the hell right now.
Come on, get some comic relief. Come on, Celtics fans. Come on, cheer up. It's Friday night.
See, you two, Josue, you're too damn jovial about this shit.
Hey, no, Celtics, they're in trouble, man. Don't get it twisted. They're in trouble. I'm just trying to cut the tension here. I walked into the room.
I know you are. I don't want to cut the tension. I want them to find a way to start playing better basketball.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I want to see them actually compete and not get mentally pumped out there, because that's what's happening. They're getting mentally pumped.
But see, that's the thing, though. Like the whole poke the bear thing. Like what? So it's Grant's fault. Like he's the one that got into someone's face. So it's
it's not Grant's fault that they lost this game.
It's just embarrassing for Grant.
It's just right.
It's just
Exactly.
exactly.
It's just embarrassing.
It's just embarrassing.
Grant thought he had backup.
It's like the classic.
And then he looked back and
That's the point.
All he had was a
Grant thought
shadow.
he had backup.
That's what
he did not. He
what
was
Jimmy
on
said.
Right.
What Jimmy said is exactly right.
He stood up to the bully, and everyone just had nothing to say. His friends were just,
Exactly.
He looked behind him and had nothing but a shadow. That's
embarrassing. Everyone,
Right.
dude.
They were running the other direction.
and then Jalen's gonna go no comment after the game. I don't know, man. I'm not.
That's
No
the problem.
comment
They
is
don't.
weak ass shit. You gotta. Come
You're one
out
of the
and say,
leaders of this team, man. Like,
Yeah. You gotta
speak
come
up
out and
about
say,
Grant.
It's
Yeah.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing
Yeah,
for
you-
Grant.
I would've-
Embarrassing
I
that
would've
no one stood by him. The
Yeah,
whole
I
thing
would've-
is embarrassing.
Yeah, I would have preferred him to answer the question, but obviously not. He's not going to give you the answer you're looking for.
Right.
Just-
Exactly.
But you know what,
A
Sherrod?
simple-
Show some support.
His
Like,
answer should be, we support Grant. We're glad to see him out there. He helped us
Right.
out in a lot of ways, and he was,
give me the political response. Right.
Exactly.
He did-
It's
he did
a
everything he could
brutal
out there.
response.
And you know what? He got in Jimmy's face or whatever, and emotions run high out there. And those two competitors are playing the game. We have Grant's back, and it's just disappointing that we couldn't, prevent it from getting, prevent the Heat from, going on that run after. Something along those lines.
Right.
Love and trust.
No comment. Like, come on, dude. Like, how is that showing support? How does that look like a team that's a team? You're getting no comments at this point in the year.
Right. At least
Come
Grant
on.
I think
doubled
it is.
down on
I
what
think
he
the way he rationalized
I like
that
that.
was by not commenting was me supporting Grant because I'm not going to throw him under the bus and say that
He didn't
it
have
was
to
his-
Don't throw him under the bus. You're right, Sherrod. I agree. That's his
I think that's how
mentality.
he's processing it.
You're 100% right, and
But
Jimmy's
that's wrong.
100% right that it's the wrong tactic.
Yeah, I agree.
This loss isn't about Grant, but then if you don't say that, it's like, do you think it is? You know what I mean? Like
Grant Williams gave us a massive spark off the bench, and I don't care who he goes at. We got his back. He played tough. We needed some toughness in this game, and Grant provided it. Done. These guys need someone to tell them this.
It shouldn't be Grant. Grant shouldn't be the guy, but nobody else is the guy apparently. So Grant took it upon himself, right or wrong, to try to fire up the team, fire himself up, get under the skin, show a little competitive spirit. I mean, it's the freaking Eastern Conference Finals. God forbid you show a little competitive spirit out there. So,
yeah, you know who else?
Right message, wrong messenger, as they say.
You know who else doesn't think Grant is the guy? Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy, before you got up here, we've been talking about Grant Williams and what happened there in the fourth quarter. And Bam even suggested that you occasionally start things like that to just kind of get yourself going. Can you tell us what happened in the moment there, and did it fuel you down the stretch?
Yes, it did, but that's just competition at its finest. He hit a big shot, started talking to me. I like that. I'm all for that. It makes me key in a lot more, and it pushes that will that I have to win a lot more. And it makes me smile. It does. When people talk to me, I'm like, okay, I know I'm a decent player if you want to talk to me out of everybody that you can talk to. But I don't know. It's just competition. I do respect him though. He's a big part of what they try to do. He switches. He can shoot the ball. I just don't know if I'm the best person to talk to.
Yeah, you do. You're the last person in the world.
So Jimmy, Grant wasn't the answer, was he, to the Jimmy Butler problem?
He said, "I'm not the one."
He wasn't.
Who just asked that question?
That's what that.
What kind of question is that?
That's what you're
That's not what it's about. But I don't know. I think so many guys played well for us tonight. Caleb was huge, as was Bam. And I just think we played high energy, and everybody's going to focus in on that, but that's for sure not the reason why we won the game.
No, that's right.
What was
He's right.
that question?
He's not going to get dinner with you.
Of all the people to talk to, I'm probably not the one. And he's right.
He's right about that.
Wait, I missed the follow-up though. It was like a statement, wasn't it?
He's like, so Grant Williams isn't the answer to Jimmy Butler problem or something like that.
He had something similar in the last one too. He was like, "Is that the end of your question?" He was like, "No."
Champ.
Oh man.
The
Heat beat. They're not. They're shocked.
What are you doing after? We going out? We
Sherrod.
going
See you at the Red Lobster.
Sherrod, would
Jimmy?
you agree with that? These guys are shocked. These Heat reporters are like, we might go to the finals. Like they're. Man.
Hey Jimmy, how about that guy Grant getting in our face in the middle of the game?
What are we gonna do about this Grant guy?
Hey, what should we do about it, Jimmy? What should we do about this Grant guy over here? Who does he think he is talking to us like that?
Is he back in Joe's doghouse though? He better not be.
Oh, Joe's in his own doghouse, man.
Grant
Joe's hurting.
I mean, obviously the Jimmy Butler thing was bad, but Grant, I thought overall did more individual positive things to help.
Of course
him.
he was.
I agree.
And so
you think Jimmy Butler
that's
wasn't
all
going to
everyone's
play
gonna talk
well?
about, Sherrod.
Do we
You know what's
honestly think
also
Jimmy Butler
really
wasn't going
sad?
to play well in the fourth quarter?
You know what's really sad?
If Grant didn't challenge him,
I'm gonna make them both.
Jimmy Butler had nicer things to say about Grant
Make 'em
Williams than
both,
anybody on the freaking Celtics did.
He
Can you
did.
believe that? Jimmy Butler
Yeah.
had a better answer about Jimmy Butler getting poked than anyone else asking, Jaylen Brown, whoever it was, about that situation. Jimmy Butler was actually pretty respectful. I mean, it's not that hard to come up with an answer.
That's
No.
one humble superstar, man.
that is. Before we continue, we got to tell you a little bit about our sponsor we haven't mentioned yet, our exclusive wagering partner, FanDuel. Hey, odds are
Oh
improving.
man,
If you-
somebody won big money tonight.
Oh, I want to see what the game
Right
3 line
now,
is.
if you were fading the Celtics because you don't believe, you're
You're
a
a
non-believer,
millionaire.
you're doing great. If you want to get in on the Celtics now, obviously the odds are starting to move in your favor, down 0-2. Head to FanDuel and check it out and sign up at FanDuel.com /Boston. Take advantage of a special offer. Yeah, or if you were a dummy and bet the Celtics, no sweat first bet kind of wipes that
money
thing
back.
off the board. Right. You get that money back up to 1,000 in bonus bets if you sign up now. Easy to download app. You get paid right away. So that's never going to be a concern. So as we said, jump over to there, FanDuel.com /Boston. Take advantage of a no sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in
I'm on
bonus
FanDuel
bets.
right now, John. I'm looking at Game 3. Do you guys want to guess what the line is for Game 3?
Celtics minus 6.5.
Anybody else?
Celtics 7-5.
Not even. It's not even that high up, guys. It's Celtics -3 right now.
Okay, that's
They
fair.
were -10 for Game 2. It's changed 7 points. So going to Miami, factor obviously, and I think at this point you got to give the Heat a little bit more respect than you've been giving them if you're
Yes, you do.
in Vegas.
We all do.
So Celtics are still the favorite here. 3 points though. I mean that's anybody's game at that number. So
Yeah.
it is dwindling.
It is dwindling. It's very dwindly right now. Tatum brushed it off. Didn't think much of the Grant thing. Happens all the time. So downplayed it. In his post game, he's talking now. We'll get Bobby Manning on for a couple of thoughts, and we'll wrap up the show. But again, I don't even know where next to go here, other than, is it over?
I'm not ready to go there yet.
I actually don't think so. But it's hard. I can't imagine. What's
Surprisingly.
funny is I can't say it's over, but I also have a hard time imagining them win a single game, because every minute you're watching, I'm like, Miami's gonna win this one. It just doesn't feel like they're going to win. So you're waiting to see something different happen. I just don't know if it's going to. Sustained runs, exerting their will, getting better looks, better ball movement, committing on the defensive end like they did in Game 6 and 7 against Philly. You're waiting for something to show up. I know the thought behind going double big was the reason you want, is to focus on defense here. And that might be why they wanted to start the series with it. It's not working, but it doesn't mean that you can't play defense just because you don't have two tall people out there. Like, you can still focus all of your energy and efforts on the defensive end of the ball, get as many stops, don't give up a bunch of open threes, and just defend better overall and hope that carries over, because the offense is messy and inconsistent right now. I feel like defense you can
Facts,
count
man.
on. Yeah, but I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
that's
You couldn't
always the
count
thing.
on it down the stretch. I mean,
You
they
should
got whatever
be
they
able to
wanted.
This
count
team
on.
built this momentum though, especially guys not named Tatum and Brown, and all of a sudden they start going off. Jalen had a rough night, easily the worst we've seen
We
this
let
postseason.
him off the hook tonight on this show.
Really?
Not
I think we
really.
did.
I was gonna say.
I mean, it was awful. It was awful. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's going to go Joe. They're going to talk about Grant. Jaylen Brown doesn't play horribly both ends of the floor the entire game, they win this game. Marcus Smart doesn't play horribly most of the game, they win this game. You had three starters and two of your three best or three most reliable or longest tenured, whatever you want to call it, players just play horribly in this game. You can't survive that many key players having not just not great games, but very, very poor overall games like those guys did. And Brown was head of the class.
Yeah, by far one of the worst games he's played. I think it was like 1 for 7 on threes. Couldn't make shots, and his defense was real spotty for most of the night. And this is what happens when he struggles the way he did. This Celtics team, it becomes extremely easy to beat. Because remember, Jaylen is usually the guy that gets a lot of points early on and then kind of disappears for a couple quarters and then comes back at some point in the second half and finishes with 20, 25 points. At no point did you get a sense that he was in a rhythm out there. And I think their defense had a lot to do with that. But so did the fact that I think the Celtics didn't recognize opportunities to get him the ball where he can be impactful, where he can make something happen. This was a bad game. And it comes back to mental toughness. I mean, are the Celtics, can they be mentally tough to withstand 2 losses at home and make this a series? Because it's not a series yet.
It's the $1 million question, Sherrod. When it comes to mental toughness, I don't think of the Celtics as that mentally tough team. No. But again, they play well on the road. So they go and win on Sunday. All of a sudden, momentum might shift a little bit. But I just go back to the Heat. Like, they're just sturdy, man. Like, I don't know. Can I envision the Heat losing 4 the next? What is it? How many games? 5? Probably not.
At this point, just
you asked Jimmy to do any math at all.
Yeah,
homeschool.
An hour and 15 minutes into a show and forget about it.
Jimmy skipped homeschooling that day.
How many
games are left in a 7-game series?
If one team wins 2 and the other team's going on the road, Jimmy. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Carry
The Celtics are on a train traveling to Miami at 75 miles an hour.
I hated those questions. I'll get ahead of you now. Oh.
And Jaylen Brown is dribbling out of control, heading right at that train. At 22
and Grant Williams
miles per hour.
is screaming at the conductor. Okay, he's in his ear. He's distracted.
Will the Celtics
what time do they get?
fall off the road?
Will they make it?
On what day will the Celtics be eliminated? That's your math equation.
And Rob Williams missed the train, actually.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm out of stuff. Chat's got to give me something.
Chat is, honestly, I hate to say it.
Celtics fans will speak.
It's so far behind.
Where was Pritchard tonight?
Doing the same thing we were, watching the game.
Where he was supposed to be, at least for tonight, man. It wasn't a Pritchard game.
No.
Yeah.
Is any game a Pritchard game?
I don't think game 1 was a
down by
Pritchard
double
game.
digits and your offense is absolutely dry. Maybe, but
Geno time.
Well, if you see Pritchard out there, that means something's gone extremely wrong for the Celtics.
Sherrod, how about Bam tonight? He was a force, man, and that was a guy that I wasn't sure if he was. I didn't think that he was going to be this in tune offensively.
Well, he's basically absolutely. I mean,
he's dominating down there.
He's dominating Al in every sense of the word. I mean, he's got Al, in the rotisserie, just watching it just spin over and over again, just grilling away. Yeah. He's got Al in the rotisserie right now.
It's not great.
It's just not. It's not good. And Al has been so good for this team for so long, but right now he's not getting it done. Bam is clear. It's not just outplaying him. He's just absolutely
eating him.
He's rotisserie him right now.
Yeah.
He's got Al in rotisserie mode. Al's just going round and round, getting baked, round and round, just getting baked.
It's like we're all seeing it, and again, like Missoula's got a front row seat to it, but like goes back to Al late in the game. I just don't get that. I mean, when Bam is dominating down low, I mean that. I just go back to that. I think his last point of the game, like the offensive rebound and the freaking slam over like 2 Celtics guys, just screams, like just see you later. I mean, that was, and he had an offensive rebound, I think, right before that as well, or at least kept it alive. So again, it's just like they're getting outmatched, whether it's Butler, whether it's Bam. It goes back to that comment we had, where talent isn't just in the X's and O's or in the stats. It's the, what do they say? Physicality, mental toughness, all that stuff.
All of
What's
it.
up, Bobby?
Let's welcome in Bobby. Bobby, you were in listening to a
He's
few different
muted.
guys. Still can't hear you.
What
We
an
gotta
entrance.
get off to better starts, Bobby.
What an entrance. What an entrance.
We got to get off to better starts.
Where have I heard that before? Where have I seen that before?
Oh my gosh. We'll try it again later. That was Bobby,
I think it's
everybody.
gonna be one of
Thank
our
you,
final
Bobby.
Okay, folks,
Going
thanks
into
for coming out,
game
Bobby.
two.
We'll be right back next.
Everyone in the chat is saying double Jimmy, double Jimmy, double Jimmy. Is it that simple, guys?
No.
Well, that's interesting because he got Joe Mazzulla got asked that by Gary Washburn.
Okay. What was the answer?
I don't think Joe's feeling the idea.
No.
Which idea?
Doubling Jimmy.
Hey, you got me now.
We do get you now. I mean, you can't just double Jimmy. The rest of the Heat players have proven that they can certainly score.
You can't double Jimmy. You guard him straight up.
No.
You do the best you can. You let him get his. That's it.
I agree with that.
And just play. Just don't let other
He's
people
killing them
free.
passing.
He's killing them.
passing.
He's killing them.
How many assists did he have tonight?
Do that.
Yeah.
I think
Start
6 or
there.
7. But Bobby, what do you got? We've
What's
talked
up, Bobby?
enough.
Another nonchalant Tatum session just went through it, said, there's no point in being up here sad. We can go do it down in Miami. And they've done this a million times. We've looked at it and said, oh, they done against Milwaukee and Miami last year and Philly. I'm not ruling them out. This does feel a little different, though.
Is that it?
How so?
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you.
This
Yeah,
feels
this
what?
feels a little.
I thought you stopped. Or just like,
Thank you,
Bobby, what the
Bobby.
hell are you doing?
Thanks, Bobby.
This feels
How's
a little
it feel
different.
different?
Because they're going on the road down 0-2. It's just a monster hill to climb. You got to play 3, 4, and 6 in Miami now. They haven't been a great home court team, so you don't know how that game 5 is going to go if you even get there at this point. I don't want to say that ominously, but you do have to win another game to get back here now. They've screwed up. They've effed up bad here. And they've given the Heat the confidence, especially guys like Caleb Martin, especially guys like Gabe Vincent, who just, I know you love that play, John, where Brown turned it over on the inbounds after the Robinson 3, right to Vincent. Mindless turnovers like this throughout. There's certainly a ton here that the Celtics can clean up to turn this around.
Smart made literally every inadvisable pass that was available to him.
How about that Tatum pass to start the second half?
Exactly. But when he and Al got kind of like confused and but
threw
like
it right to
Smart would have numbers and he'd be like, what's the most difficult pass I could even attempt now? There it is. Bing, and it was just like, come on, man. Like, it's not time. Like, value possessions. Again, Bobby, how much time did they spend talking about like commitment to the small things? Like, the small things are, don't turn it over on the inbounds with a cavalier pass. Don't force the issue. Make the smart play. Like, those are small things. Put a body on people. Don't lose people going back door. Like, these are small things, that you do. How many points do they cost themselves with small things? 20? I mean, it's insane. You can't come back from stuff like that against a team like this.
No, and you're going to lose the series if you do stuff like that. The worrisome part is they don't seem to have answers for what Miami's doing, and it's like the bubble 3 years ago all over again. Jalen had some comments tonight to the effect of, I'm trying to attack mismatches, and guys are cheating in and, filling the lane and pinching and all that different kind of stuff. And you see that out there. There's a ton of help coming in the lane when these guys drive. They're not able to attack the mismatches like Robinson and Vincent and those types. They're not able to take advantage on those. And that's what led to Brown's probably worst night of the season, all in all. He was just a mess out there, decision-making wise, and with the ball in his hands. And everybody added to it, certainly. And I know you guys had your Joe criticisms. I asked Jason how he reacts to all the criticism coming Joe's way. Are they still defending him? And he said, yeah, he's not out there turning the ball over and missing shots. That's me. So he's putting this one on his shoulders. But I asked Joe
what's
coming
happening
into
with
the
the
game.
Tatum disappearing act here?
He said he had the ball in his hands a lot. He didn't really have an answer for it. Spoelstra didn't really want to acknowledge what they were doing on him. So I think it's just a matter of the offense being, as Marcus Smart said somewhere over the last couple of weeks, a little random. Brown's taking it up. He's kind of doing a back and forth game with White at the top of the key, and sometimes Tatum's floating in the corner. Same with Brown when Tatum's on the ball. And he did draw a lot of free throws like last game, but the shot attempts just aren't getting up. And all of them were threes, long threes way behind the line in that fourth quarter. So it's on him. I don't think it's anything the Heat are doing special defensively. I don't think they're scheming up to take the ball out of his hands. And I even asked something like that to Doc about Brown last series, and he's like, "We're not doing anything. That's not what we're planning to do. It just happened." So I'm sure that's kind of what's going on here with Tatum. Is just this offense not really having the connectivity or the assertiveness to get the ball in the right guy's hands. We've talked about this.
What's up with the fourth quarter bullshit?
Oh, he saw them falling asleep, Jimmy. He really did. You just saw it slipping when they went up. And then once it got down to 2-3 there with 4 minutes to go, John was texting us saying what's going to happen. And you couldn't feel great about that situation. The stats are staggering, John, on the crunch time stuff, not only in favor of Miami, but Boston struggles here too. I mean, the Heat won 32 games in the clutch this year. I mean, Spoelstra was saying post-game, it felt like every game was coming down to the last shot for them at one point. So they're dominating these moments. I think they have the highest plus-minus after Philadelphia. It might have passed Philadelphia tonight in the playoffs in those clutch situations. So you feel great if they're in that situation. They're going to get the offensive rebound. Butler's going to make the right pass or the turnaround pull-up, which he was just killing the Celtics with. Or Bam's going to be in there grabbing a putback late. A couple huge offensive rebounds for him. Thought the Celtics got killed on the boards tonight. That goes back to the Rob stuff, John. Stunning to not see him out there much.
Although Rob only had 3 rebounds, but again, I think those stats are always a little skewed because he's doing a lot of tap.
He was getting pulled out of the paint,
and other times he wasn't there. And Tatum picked up the slack, grabbing some rebounds too. So I don't think he was getting murdered on the glass. But
do you think that's what it is with Rob? Well, we know Joe, I think, generally doesn't have enormous trust for Rob, but do you think it's the fact that they kept switching him out on the perimeter, Butler especially? I think that might have been.
That was a bigger problem in game 1 than it was game 2.
No, it wasn't a huge problem tonight, but it happened. So I wonder if they just get scared of him being in that spot rather than Al, who...
I think they get scared of everything. I think we talked about this, guys, before. I think Rob is experiencing what Brad experienced a few years ago with the trust factor with Rob. He doesn't do all the things that I want, and there's a trust issue. And again, this goes back to why Smart was playing when he was playing so poorly over White, and why Rob wasn't playing when Al was playing so poorly. And it's a trust issue. Like, it feels safer to play those other guys, but you're not in the moment. Like, guys, it seems easy when you're not, the coach, and when you're watching it like we are. Was this an easier or difficult decision with who to play down the stretch here? Josue, Sherrod, anybody?
Shouldn't have been that hard. I mean, the way this game was going, Al was getting again rotisseried all game long by Bam, and Rob wasn't. I mean, Rob wasn't locking him down, but Rob seemed to. I thought was playing a little bit better at that end of the floor, and Smart just never really seemed to kind of put his imprint on this game. He never made that. He's typically makes that one defensive play that you're like, oh, this could be the catalyst to get him going. That never came. Never happened.
I turned to Josue when they subbed him in with about 49 seconds left after the Tatum free throws, the 3 free throws that got them within 2, because it looked like they were about to do some defense there, and I thought he was coming in for Al, but they put him in for Brogdon, and then they gave up that bucket to Vincent that made the 4-point game, essentially the icer there. But they started doing defense with Rob and Brogdon rather than Al and Rob, which I think just shows that Al's going to be out there no matter what, no matter the matchup, no matter how he's playing, what the alignment is, because Brogdon was the one coming in and out with Rob. So they were going double big in that spot late for offense, defense.
Yep.
And I think that just sort of explains as much as anything is that they want Al out there, even though Al has had a tough series so far. And, I got to look at the numbers, Sean, but doesn't it feel like Al's guarding Bam a little bit more than Rob? Like
Yeah.
that seems to be
I
their,
think so.
their
I
plan
think
there.
Joe likes that. I mean, obviously tonight wasn't a good example of it, but he was asked about it during his post game press conference, and he was pretty defiant. Well, not defiant, but he was saying like, "Look, I've been doing this all the entire postseason. I mean, Al always finishes." So I feel like him saying that was sort of like, I haven't even,
And
that hasn't even crossed my mind to take him
and
out.
double big tonight. I know you got your eye on this, John.
Yeah.
I just think he's always thinking that there's going to be that bounce back. He's going to make that play,
I hear you.
The blocks on Embiid, especially down the stretch. He
Yeah.
made some big plays in that series, but yeah, I'm with you, Bobby. He hasn't arrived in the series yet.
How many minutes for double big tonight?
Just
5?
whatever the first 4 minutes, and then they never did it again.
Yeah.
It was a minus 55 in those first 5 minutes.
Net rating again?
Minus 55.
So it was a minus net rating, you mean?
Yes.
It was a minus 50 in 9 minutes in game one. Again, ridiculously small sample sizes, but it's
63 offensive rating.
It's so bad. It doesn't matter how big the sample size is. It's so bad. It's literally on fire.
So why start it?
Why it's like it's so obviously bad. Like get it out of there.
Anybody would be like, "This looks bad."
Anybody, oh my god, this mangled.
This isn't how the game's supposed to be played, right?
Gotta get it out of here.
Those numbers are unbelievable. But the minutes, really, John, why start it if you're not going to use it?
Yeah.
I was surprised to hear Joe went back to it today because I knew he wasn't going to use it. And he only used it for those first 5 minutes and they never went back to it.
New York Times pitch bot. Are the Celtics too talented? Yeah, I don't know, man. We talked about this a little bit with Joe. I don't know. It's like Sherrod made the great point early. It's a delayed reaction to things, like it's
Is he in trouble, guys?
I mean, look.
Define trouble.
Like, is he coaching for his job?
No.
He should be. I'll put it this way. I'll tell you this. If you
not yet, but if this thing goes south.
But here's the thing. Practically speaking, you extend a coach. He's year one. They had a pretty good year. They make it this far. It doesn't seem like the type of thing that you would do. But that doesn't matter. What matters is whether Brad's sitting up there and is having buyer's remorse and thinking, I did screw up. I don't know that he's the guy. I'm actually pretty certain he's not the guy. But I'm not going to be able to fire him if we go to the finals. But if they go down embarrassingly here, I've got my reason, and I am going to do it. So if Brad's made up his mind, he made a mistake, or he's not the guy, absolutely he could get fired. People just assume it's not the thing that you do in a situation like this. But people aren't right all the time with this sort of stuff. It really matters do you feel good about it, and do you have enough cover? They absolutely have enough cover if the Celtics go down in flames here. They absolutely do.
They do. But again,
then is Wick going to allow you to pay 2 coaches depending on how much you gave here? And that's another component that you never really know. If he does, it'll be like, Brad, you can fire
I agree
him,
with you.
I got to write another check.
You're coaching. If that's the case, you're going to do both. Right.
I agree with you. I don't think he would be fired. But I
didn't say that.
High
I said
level...
he might be fired.
Yeah, he said the opposite.
I said the opposite. Okay. I said it makes the sensible thing is to not fire him. But if Brad right now believes it's not the right guy, I do believe there's enough cover in the Heat series if they lose, if they go
It'll
down.
Be interesting. It's a conversation for another day, but we've seen what's happening around
There's
the
never
league.
been so many good coaches available right now.
Hans, where you been, man?
So that's the thing, Jimmy.
He was
Can
saving
you
that
attract?
comment.
Can you attract a high-profile assistant, a defensive guy? Maybe.
What are you gonna do? Bring in an assistant to actually coach? Like we're
So
past that now.
That's the tricky thing, John. Like, because what would
That's
you
what
change?
you do when you're rebuilding. That's what you do when you are, there are clear steps between you and being a legit title contender. You already passed that bridge.
I know, but I'm just trying to forecast if this goes sideways, Sherrod, what changes? Because I think all of us look at it and say, realistically, Joe wouldn't go. The player personnel on the team, I think there's tough decisions there across the board, and none of them are easy to make. So what changes? I mean, they've lost a lot of assistants. I think there's almost. There's almost a necessity.
Anyone got Grant? Did you guys send Grant to Ahmed? I'd love to get the Grant stuff up.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Send it to him. I'm going to play Tatum real quick. Did I play this bite already? You said he was kind of...
We haven't heard Tatum yet.
Said he was kind of blah about it. Here's Tatum.
Jason, we've seen you after a lot of tough losses. You seem particularly upbeat tonight.
MVP.
Are you encouraged, or
it's pretty good?
How do you feel going down 0-2 to Miami?
I mean, it's tough. It's a challenge. And, I mean, there's no point in being up here sad and shit, right? They came in and won 2 games. They played well. You give them credit. But, you know, we're not dead or anything. We got a great opportunity, you know. I still have the utmost confidence. Everybody has the utmost confidence. And we just got to get ready for game 3.
Are you guys capable in all ways, physically, mentally, talent-wise, to win 4 out of 5, which you are going to have to do?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Again, delayed response. You see the delayed response again.
My
Are you ready?
favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite question post game though was for him, why he was at his locker for so long. I think that one's been overdue. Hey, he said he just wanted to chill, take a deep breath, put some ice on his legs, and
That's
I
nothing
felt
compared
a
to
little
what we waited for years
felt
ago.
a little tired with the 8:30 start.
Try
he
waiting
said.
for Rondo and friggin' KG.
Rondo and KG. Oh my
John,
God.
he said he was a little.
Were
he
they
said
on
he
their
was a little-
phones though? Tatum's a huge phone guy.
That
Those
might be
guys
it.
would
Time
literally
flies.
leave, go have a meal, come back and work out, and then do media. You know.
John, though, he said he
Just
felt
F with us.
he
said
said
he felt what?
He felt a little tired with the 8:30 start. That was another reason.
Who said that?
It's an hour later than
Don't
you
say
normally
that
play.
to me.
Tatum
It's
said
1 hour
that.
later than you normally play.
It's past Deuce's bedtime. I can tell you that. But you should be able to hang out.
Was Deuce there tonight?
Jason Tatum said that?
Deuce was in the locker room, trying to hype him up, jumping all
yeah.
over him.
Oh, you saw that too? Yeah.
It's a
He
freaking
doesn't
After
give
the
a-
game?
There's
He doesn't give
daycare
a-
there,
he doesn't
isn't
give
it?
an F about this
Okay.
game.
Yeah.
He's usually
Once
the one
again,
who.
my twins, who are exactly the same age, have been asleep for 5 hours.
Yeah, we'll be
But
talking
yes.
about there. 11:30, Josue ish, 12.
My hot take: too many kids in the locker room at home games. It's not a daycare center. Get fired up for the game. Get in the zone. Get the kids with
This
other
is
people.
post game, Jimmy.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, pregame. I'm talking pregame.
I don't
He
think
said
this
keep
kid's
him
in there
out.
pregame.
Yeah.
Well,
Not that I
don't
know of.
Jimmy,
I don't
stay
know.
with it. Stay with it.
That's my take.
Yeah, man. Come on. Don't let them talk you out of
Get
that.
the
up the
kids
energy.
somewhere else. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, tell them.
We want to be factually correct here.
No. Jimmy,
We don't.
Jimmy's trying to say he wants everyone focused. All right.
Yes.
I want everybody in the zone. Headphones on, listening to whatever music gets them fired up. The kids are off with somebody else. I don't care.
Here's
Last
the thing
point-
about Tatum. Nobody
Oh, go
wants him
ahead.
sad. Nobody wants him sad.
Yeah.
We want him angry.
I would like mad. You know.
I know every post game.
Grant was the only one mad.
exactly the same.
I
It's
thought I
like
played the wrong bite. I think he
monotone.
said sad and shit last time too.
It was the exact same presser, more or less.
Yeah, you just
I
played
don't
the exact same
care
performance.
about sad. Like, again,
Yeah, be angry.
anyway, what were you gonna say, Bobby?
I just want to throw in a Grant thing, of course.
Got
Is
that
he
quick
really
couple-
getting? Is he really getting blamed for this one? Like that's gonna be everybody's story tonight.
A little, but not fully. Not rationally.
Because he bumped Butler or whatever and got in his face.
Because he's a dummy. But he's not the reason they lost.
No,
He's
he's
not-
very good. I thought. Nice to see him off the bench tonight. Sherrod was excited.
What did you like about what you saw? Bobby?
Nice
We've talked
three.
about Grant for a while, so you
Nice three that put him up 9. Some switchability. You can get out on these guys. He did have a tough miss inside where he was kind of posting up, spinning into oblivion against Bam. And, of course, he gave up the and one to Butler. But you feel better about him on Butler than Pritchard or whoever other options you have off the bench there. I just think you need his change of pace. And, yes, he's going to be talking. Yes, he's going to be getting in scuffles. But isn't that a little bit of intensity that you're looking for? I mean, how's that going to be a bad thing after this?
I don't get it, actually, because what's
Just someone
funny
who
is
cares.
when the energy shifted and it was going well, it was good. And, people are like, oh, I love the energy. And then Jimmy Butler starts scoring. and you're like, you think Jimmy Butler's not hunting the Grant matchup if Grant didn't get in his face? Of course he freaking is. That was the matchup. He's doing that all day long. So I mean, it's stupid. It's
Similar
dumb.
story. I mean, it was the young
There
round
is
one.
there. Listen, people want to be on one side of it or the other. You can believe both things. You can believe that Grant played well. You can believe that Grant probably isn't anywhere near the level of Jimmy Butler and maybe shouldn't get so emotional.
It just looks dumb, but it's not the reason they lost. It just looks
John,
dumb.
it's not there isn't one reason they lost.
There's only one. You have to pick it. Go.
You got to write a lead, Jimmy. Remember?
Yeah, it wouldn't be that, but it would be another fourth quarter. It would be Jimmy Butler would be in my lead, of course, but
yes,
you can't talk about Jimmy Butler without talking about that situation that occurred.
Everyone write your lead right now. Sherrod, go.
Mental toughness.
Yeah, that's your lead.
Boston dash.
That would be the central theme. That this point in the season, talent it can get you here, but it's not going to get you over the hump. The team that's more mentally tough is going to get over, and clearly, Miami's been a more mentally tough team. That's why they're up 2-0.
Josue, what's your lead?
My lead is act as if you're the team that wanted more, and you're running out of time. I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. I just feel like this Celtics team, again, like I've been saying throughout the show, getting bullied.
Long leads.
Oh no, I'm not. That was it. No, period. Like they tell us. See, you heard us say.
Those are long leads. Yeah, Bobby, what do you got?
I love a good scene. Bam,
you're a scene setter. Jaylen Brown dribbled the ball up the court
very
fast. Jason Tatum crossed over half court. Brown missed him. Looked over to his right. There was a double team. He couldn't get it quick enough.
Bam, walking across that logo. I thought he was gonna stomp it at the end there, but he just kind of swung his fist to the crowd. There was a lot of moments tonight where the Heat just looked like they got these guys. Caleb Martin was kind of getting in Brown's face at one point after hitting a 2, and there was just so many moments like that from this game. Bam swinging on the rim at that putback. I mean, these guys are just tough. And again, John, I don't get this team, and I never will. But I understand it a little bit more, just having seen it close up a couple times now. They just, you said this last night, John, like it sounds dumb, it sounds goofy, it's so simple, but like that want, that intensity, that fight, that scrappiness, all those cliches, just toss them out. Maybe I'll put those in the story too. That's where they're owning Boston, right? Because when Boston went on the runs tonight, and when they went on the runs in game 1, double-digit lead, 19-2 run, they're just blowing these guys away on talent. But when they take their foot on the gas and the Heat start playing harder, they lose those leads quick. I mean, this was the same game as game 1, wasn't it? Lose a double-digit lead before halftime, go to crunch time, lose that, and you're down 0-2.
Yep.
That's my game story.
My lead, Jimmy Butler couldn't help but smile as Grant Williams barked at it in his face down the court. He had every reason to smile as the final
I knew you were going to put
sounded.
Grant in your lead.
But he had every reason to smile as the final buzzer sounded, and the helpless Celtics find themselves in a 2-0 hold after
I think Jimmy takes the cake. That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
I had more time to think about it.
No, it is good.
Can I steal that, Jimmy?
Absolutely. It's all yours, buddy.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler
just make sure you say that the article
shook his head. He knew what was coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Bobby, if you did that, he's gonna screenshot it and tweet it out.
All right.
Just make sure you write Jimmy Toscano contributed to this article.
Yeah, at the bottom.
No, but honestly, that right or wrong, that's what's gonna stand out to everybody who watched this game. It's not saying that's why they lost, but that was this flip that switched Jimmy Butler, in his own words, Bobby. I don't know if you were there for the post game. Jimmy Butler admitted that kind of fired him up a little bit. Now, my whole thing is this. Okay, so let's say Grant Williams does that. Where are the rest of the Celtics to fight back? Just because Jimmy Butler flipped a switch doesn't mean the Celtics can't flip it back. I mean, you've got Jason Tatum, you've got Jaylen Brown, you've got guys on this team who should be able to go toe-to-toe with Jimmy Butler and stop acting like he's the boogeyman. It's got PTSD from the bubble. So that's where I'm at with it. Everything sucked. It's not just Grant. It's Grant. It's the non-reaction from the Celtics. It's the lack of execution down the stretch in the fourth quarter. It's everything. So Grant helped, and the reasons that you already mentioned that Grant helped on the court, but I think Grant gets himself into trouble, and that's probably why he finds himself on the bench a lot more often than maybe he normally would. I think
You're
that he
right.
gets under. I think that's probably why Missoula doesn't play him sometimes. Is stuff like that. And listen, if you're Grant Williams, you're a role player. You're the 8th guy on an 8-man rotation. You again, right message, wrong messenger. And unfortunately, Grant Williams found out the hard way. His teammates don't have his back. Hate to tell you. The only guy who had something good to say about Grant Williams after the game was Jimmy Butler.
You think that was why Jalen said the no or next question?
Feels that way.
Yeah, because he probably thought what Grant did was stupid and he didn't feel like talking about it.
Right,
Yeah.
which is wrong. Jalen Brown shouldn't feel that way, and that's the problem with this team.
Right. You think he'd feel that way if they still won? Like it's
Jalen Brown should be coming to the defense of Grant Williams.
At least exactly right.
On the
right.
court
he
and after
he
the
would be
game.
talking about how this is something that Grant does, and he wouldn't say like I don't know why Missoula didn't put him in sooner, but it would kind of allude to that a bit. And I feel like no one would even be obviously for Celtics fans they wouldn't be obviously, but for his teammates to go out there and say no comment, it's like come on man, like what are you mad at him? You really think he had a big reason, a hand in this loss? I mean, come on, he was the one that showed toughness out there, from the very beginning too. He stripped the ball away from Bam Adebayo. He hit some shots on offense, and yeah, sure, he did poke the bear or whatever, but he got into Jimmy Butler's face. That's competition. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. At least someone did it.
It's competition. It's just that he's no competition for Jimmy Butler. That's the problem, Josue. So if you don't have anyone else ready to back you up, then this is what happens.
The intensity thing's unbelievable. I mean, these
Part of
are
who he is.
these are January regular season issues happening in May. Back-to-back games after a loss. I mean, I had a bad feeling coming into this one, John, because yes, we've seen them be at their best after some of these awful losses, but their energy just seems to be decreasing with each passing round and each passing game and the practice.
No, it's not. I mean, honestly, that's my lead. It's the same exact thing. It's about the energy. It's the focus. That's exactly.
I asked Sherrod
the
this.
The
around
Celtics may
halftime.
at some point show up and play with that requisite energy and focus, but it's probably already too late. Like that's it. Like
what do you think's preventing them?
You can
from
find it
doing
and
that?
flip that switch. I don't think they actually know what it is. Like,
and that's the problem.
They don't actually know what that next gear is. They've never accessed it. They've won based off of talent mainly, or last year defensive intensity. Right now, I said it early, they're a little bit rudderless. They don't actually have an identity. We've talked about that, whether that was a problem all year long. When they need it, what do they do to win? And in Philly, they found it. They dug down, got stops, but this team doesn't have that. And when another team takes what you do well away, and what the Heat have done a little bit with the Celtics, they don't really know how to. They don't actually know how to impose their will. But I also don't think they know. Like, do you see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum doing crazy hustle things ever?
No.
I'm not saying they're lazy, but do you see them doing those things, fighting, being gritty, things like that? Like, how many Tommy points do those guys have? Like, over the course of their careers? Not a ton, right? That's just not a thing that they do. What?
Yeah, pull up the Tommy point stats. Let's
pull it up. There's somewhere there, but you know what I mean? If you were actually
Tommy would be rolling.
If you were keeping score, there's not a lot. That's what I'm saying.
I'll give you that.
So you mentioned a moment
NBA
during
advanced stats. It is.
You mentioned
Jimmy knows why I'm laughing.
You mentioned a moment during the.
I stopped myself.
You mentioned a moment during the game, John, too, that I obviously didn't see. So Spoelstra was in the huddle saying something to the effect of
share it in the text. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he said something in a huddle to the effect of I'm gonna pull up the exact quote you sent, but if they're not hitting threes, we got them or something like that.
Yeah.
We talked about this, Bob. Yeah,
we talked about it a bit.
Basically, Spoelstra's saying, and that they're only good at one thing. So just stop them from doing this, and you'll beat them.
Do what I told you. Just stop them from making threes, and they're basically that's all.
Guys,
you
we talked about this in our 2-minute film session on this team. Just stop them from shooting threes.
Remember when I was walking by with my phone and I looked at you guys and I said, just defend the three.
See that line?
They have to hit threes to win.
All right,
Make
I'll
it
see you guys
difficult.
later.
Yeah.
You can
They
take
have
it,
to
mate.
hit. They have to hit threes to win. I mean, that's a lot for one of those. Those are normally nothing. Those little segments.
That's embarrassing. It's like these losers can really only do one thing, and if you stop them, we win this game easily, and they did.
I remember
And it's
Phil
bold too,
Jackson. No, never mind.
because those are normally like decided by PR, right, John? Like what gets out of those, and they're like, "Yep, let's rub this in their face."
Yeah. All right, we're done. I think we're done.
You were saying something, Jimmy? Quick.
No, it wasn't that important. I remember Phil
okay.
Jackson was on a in huddle mic. This is the NBA Finals 2010, and he said something about like I forget exactly what it was, but I think it was about Kevin Garnett specifically, or getting under their skin or something like that. And I remember asking Kevin Garnett after the game. I was like, "Hey, Kevin, Phil Jackson had this to say about so and so after in the huddle. He was he was kind of caught on microphone saying this. Like, what are your thoughts on that?" And he goes, "I don't give a shit what Phil Jackson says." And that was the quote. I was like, cool.
I'm gonna ask Joe about that on Zoom tomorrow.
All right, cool,
Back
Kevin.
then, Jimmy
Thank
was
you.
like, "Facts, my dog."
I want to
That was
watch
one of
that
the
clip.
many
we're-
informative answers I got.
We're gonna wrap. We got more stuff to do. These guys are
We're
coming
going to
up.
Miami.
Celtics late night guys. So we're gonna come out.
Oh.
Hey, they got Luke.
They got Luke on the couch and Blake.
Marcus
They're jumping
What a
out
graphic.
here. Yeah, they're gonna
Blake would be a
do.
great host.
They're going to be positive about the game because
This
they're
would
going
be
to
a
bring
great
some
show.
sunny.
These guys are going to be. I would love to see them spin this one. I would love.
They are.
to see
They
them
will. It's they're going to bring the sunshine.
It's always sunny in Australia.
And talk about this. It's the First to the Floor podcast, guys. And they're going to be bringing some more post-game action if you want to jump over to that and continue chatting basketball. You totally can. A couple things before we go. We want to tell you again, Factor Meals, a ready-to-eat meal kit delivered right to your door. Good to go. Heat it up in a couple of minutes and you're done. Really good, full meal kit. Go to factormeals.com/garden50. 50% off your first box. That's a really good deal. So check that out. And of course, our exclusive wagering partner, FanDuel. Can't go wrong. Sign up at FanDuel. Roll the dice here.
You can go wrong. Actually, with this deal, you're allowed to go wrong.
You are allowed to go wrong. FanDuel.com/Boston. No sweat bet up to 1,000 in bonus bets when you get it wrong. As many of us had almost everything about this series wrong, then you get your money back with a no sweat first bet. So that's a pretty good deal for you.
My
And
prediction, serious
for all of you
prediction, is
guys.
still in play. I just need the Celtics to win the next 4.
Yeah. Sign up here, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get a lot of extra Celtics content there, including Bobby and Josue's game breakdowns. You can also check out the audio version of this podcast if you want to roll it and listen in the morning. If you jumped on later, you can just watch the rebroadcast on YouTube as well. But little code there, you could scan that, takes you right to it, and listen to the audio version of the Garden
Listen in the
Report, which we
car.
will have up by the morning. Yeah, if you've got a 1 hour and 52-minute commute, you can listen to the whole thing.
Hey,
I'm going to
that probably
Manchester
happens
tomorrow.
in
I might
Boston.
listen to this back.
Yeah, we are done. We've gone on long enough. Thanks to Sherrod, Jimmy, Josue, Bobby. We will see you guys later.
Appreciate